So we start.
Lovely.
Cool. So, welcome to the Upload Studios podcast. We're here today for the first time with Gordon, the owner of Primate. It is Gordon's first time doing a podcast.
Yes. Actually, no, I think it might be my second time now.
Second time doing a podcast.
There we go.
So it's Jack's first time doing a podcast.
Hello,
as well.
on the other end, on the other side of the wall. Yes.
So usually how we start is we ask you to describe yourself in 5 words.
Oh, that's hard. Tall, probably, is the first word. Nice. I get that a lot. Probably introverted, maybe. Extroverted is the 4th word, but both. And a 5th word, overthinker. There you go.
So I would add that to my one too.
Yeah.
Okay. And Jack.
I'm going to steal overthinker. That's probably mine. Unfashionable is my next one.
I don't know. Pink suits you. Looks good.
Careful.
Careful.
Yeah.
Cool.
Dangerous.
Dangerous. Very nice.
Quiet.
Quiet.
I'd like to say that. What do you think? Do you think that's an accurate list?
Medium. Quiet sometimes. He's a singer, so
Thank you.
it comes and goes, I guess.
Singer that's not a compliment, is it? It's just like you are
Artist.
a person that can
Creative
sing.
artist.
Cool.
Wow. Yeah,
What about
very
you,
good.
Ethan?
Yeah.
Ugh.
What are your 5 words to describe yourself?
I'd say protagonist, annoying. It's always hard asking, or easy
Yeah.
asking and then hard.
Not easy being on the receiving end.
Probably slightly autistic. I've been told that by multiple ex-girlfriends, so I'll add that into it.
Yeah.
I like learning about everything, so I don't know. Curious. A bit like Curious George.
Nice. Curious
Sweet.
is good.
And speaking of Curious George, we have a primate in the building.
Thank you. Yes.
Where did primate come from in terms of the business name?
Oh, that's I get asked that a lot, and actually the answer is just we were at the pub one night and decided throwing around different names and had everything from web design Edinburgh to something else, and we settled on the word primate and really liked it. And I think the thing that kind of triggered the sort of thought process behind it was the kind of idea of evolution. So this idea that when we started, we were very, brash and excitable and thought, hey, everyone else is like a dinosaur. We get to be the next evolution. So we liked the idea of sort of, monkeys and primates and the evolution. So that kind of worked its way back into it after we'd come up with the name in the first place, just because we liked it.
Really cool.
It's been a name that I've kind of stopped thinking about. We've just kind of had it, and it's been us for years. But it's short and snappy, and that's what we wanted, was just something that's going to be memorable and not.
We were going through your website yesterday, and we clicked on the AKA Gorilla thing, and we noticed how cool the website flipped and changed.
Yeah, the text goes topsy-turvy.
Really cool.
Yeah, we've always liked the idea of having like Easter eggs.
Yeah.
We used to do it in client sites, and then we stopped doing that because they didn't, people would discover things that we put in there years later, and sometimes we're happy and sometimes weren't. But on our own site, we've always had little things sort of hiding away in it, and little kind of secrets, and I've always liked that idea that if you try hard enough, you might find something. You might, and it might only be one person a year that sees it, but to them it's like a really special moment. It's like they get to see something or find something that not many other people have seen. So
See, Ethan and I went through every single person that is at your business.
They were so accurate.
Just clicking at what relation do they have to the person? Did they get to choose them, or was it
No, that's something I do. So I insist. It's like so I always get to pick the monkey, and then I get to write a little like monkey biography about them, and usually they're quite dark and quite horrific, and
we noticed.
And I just get really carried away, and some people are really offended by it, and other people think, wow, that's really great, thank you, it's exciting.
Exactly.
But
the illustrations match the people quite it was weird.
There's probably some like deep psychological thinking going on in my brain about what I think people are like when they pick a monkey and write about them killing their captors or something, but they don't, that's the only thing they don't get to input on.
So you have to go onto the Primate website and try and find that yourself, because it is a very cool Easter egg.
Ignore everything else. That's the thing you want.
So if you can tell us, like, what was your journey into Primate, and with the partners you joined in together and started it? How did you decide on marketing and that sort of aspect of marketing?
Sure. So I started the agency with two other people, Bart and Espen. Bart's still with us. He's the technical director, sort of my co-founder. Another chap called Espen who left the business, a good maybe 5 or 6 years ago now. Okay. And we were working for another agency in Edinburgh, sort of on and off at different times. We were doing web development, websites. I was a developer, Bart was a developer, Espen was a designer. And we just kind of got talking. We sort of we were friends. We sort of had a sort of bond. We really got excited about the idea of just doing more creative things. And really a lot of it was just kind of arrogance. Like we were, wasn't that we were just unhappy with what we were doing. We just thought like we could go and do better and do this exciting stuff. And we just had this vision of like, we go make these perfect websites and perfect things, and then Coca-Cola or something will come knocking on the door and give us a blank check. No, they've never done that.
That's probably a good thing.
Yeah, it turns out that's our naivety, and then we realized business particularly is not like that. Or unless you're lucky, it doesn't really work out that way. And there's a lot of other factors at play that we were just kind of completely oblivious to, and all we were just like, we just want to go and build things, and that was it, and earn a living doing it. So we struck out on our own, saved a little bit of money, put it in the pot, got started, and that was it. And then that was 12 years ago now, and it's just been a slow process, just taking time and starting off, living. First year we just kind of lived like students, we didn't have any, trying to find clients, didn't have
beans
any. Yeah, it was that real kind of like in your
lunch.
bedroom story of just like, just getting out, and we knew how to do the work, but we didn't know anything about business, didn't know how to find clients, didn't know anything to do with it. So we learned all that as we went along, and then, just kind of over the years, it's sort of grown slowly and progressed and changed, and we're still going. And
now they have a beautiful office in Stockbridge, which is probably one of the coolest places to be in Edinburgh. So.
I was saying to Jack, it's very hot, in the summer. It's particularly.
It's got a tin roof.
A couple of weeks ago.
Did you say it was an old yoga?
It used to be
gym?
A yoga studio, before we moved in. And before that, it was actually another agency in Edinburgh. Before that, I think it was like a pool hall or something.
Okay.
I find all these things out. People come in, they say, I remember playing pool here back in the 80s or something.
Not swimming in a pool. Right,
no,
that would be a massive renovation.
Big change.
Can I fix this cable? Because I've just bollocksed it.
No, but it's really interesting to see that, like, the development of that place going from like being like a pool hall and going through the creative sides of it, and then now you guys are there, and it feels very established. Like when I went there, I was like, wow, this is a cool place. There was also free pizza, so that also helped.
It's funny though, because it is a lovely office, but we didn't do much to it. I've always been a kind of firm believer, mainly because I'm just quite tight with spending money. I was like, we just found it was a nice premise. All we did was we built a little room at the back, which was relatively cheap and straightforward, filled it with IKEA furniture, and that was it. Did very little to it, and I think that's part of our brand aesthetic in a good way. It's quite simplified, streamlined, clear. So we didn't have to. I didn't want to take on an office and spend tens and tens of thousands of pounds. Sort of,
it should be very silly.
Renovating it all.
Bad business.
A few just like black and white IKEA things, which it turns out having a brand which black and white's great. It's really easy to furnish offices. So and just find a nice spot. So.
And your clients, tell us about your clients. Who have they been, and sort of like why did they come to you?
Sure. So our clients are a big mix. A big spectrum, so from small businesses and organizations to very big ones. We do a lot of work in the charity sector, which is just something we kind of fell into, and it's something we really enjoy doing. They're fantastic organizations. You get to actually do something where you feel like you're making a difference and you're making an impact, and they tend to be lovely, and that's really rewarding. Other sort of sectors we work in, sort of education, food and drink, tourism, startups. So kind of a bit
of everything.
Bit of everything. Yeah.
What sets you apart from other marketing agencies? So why did you? What did? When you were sitting in that pub one night, and I assume you had an idea in mind. It wasn't just at the pub. You're like, let's just do marketing. I assume you've gone to university or you've done courses, and it was an interest.
Well, I did computing at university, and then I got a job working at an agency, and that was kind of it. We didn't really have a thing other than just we wanted to do it. We just wanted to build websites and web apps and things like that.
And having the knowledge of back end and front end, that must have given you a huge advantage actually against a lot of other people.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, the USP thing's interesting because you get asked that a lot by, particularly, we went to Business Gateway and these things, and everyone was like, "What's your USP? What's your USP? And I was like, I don't know. I think we're just really good at what we do, and that was it.
Funny website with primates on it.
Yeah, it's like there's and I think there is an expectation that you're going to have some magical thing that no one else has, and yet if you think about businesses, there's very few that actually have something incredibly unique. It tends to be a little
the work ethic and how you do things.
Yeah, there's they'll have a brand value, they'll have something, but when you think about their actual offering, it's not like everyone is special, so it's more like how you do it. And for us, it was really the approach, design, development, bringing the two together, the values we had, and sort of that approach. It wasn't like we'd come up with, there's that one thing that we're amazing at, and maybe that's why we're not more successful. You
seem pretty successful.
I'm saying all this, and someone's going like, if you had a USP, you would have made a lot more money. So
Coca-Cola would have come knocking.
Yeah, exactly.
And with Bart, what has been working with having another partner on board and stuff? What are the sort of challenges you face, or do you guys generally seem to be in the same sort of direction? Or?
Well, I've always been a believer in doing it with other people. So we started with three of us, three directors. We've now got five. So we've kind of
5 directors.
Yeah, people are very shocked by that. But I've always just been off the sort of approach. I would rather do it with other people and have people invested in the business.
Good team really makes a difference.
And people that you want to work with and kind of fun working with. I don't think I would have started a company by myself, just on the basis that you need someone to bounce things off, particularly when you're stressed or there's things that are happening. You want to go and talk to someone. So it helps having a director or someone for a lot of business have mentors, someone that you can just actually go and talk to and say, hang on, this has happened. It's tough. What do you think?
Yeah. What with mentors, what sort of things did you have initially to sort of help you, advantages and stuff, asking them questions and stuff that you didn't have before, or was it more the mentors, were they people in sort of doing the same sort of thing as you? And
so we got, actually I remember our very first mentor, a chap called Stuart Gibson, who we're still in contact with, and he was, I think it was Business Gateway, where they sort of give you someone. Actually, the first person they sort of gave to us was a sort of ex-banker, and we thought, this is not...
a weird mix.
Not a right fit. And then we got introduced to Stuart, and that was great. And then for a few years, he kind of just, he was just doing it as a sort of wanting to give back, and he met with us, I think it was every quarter or something like this, and just gave us advice, and that was really useful. And even now we're still in touch, and it's great.
It's nice to have someone you can sort of touch heads with and talk about things. I've got Alex from Umore, really nice guy. So I've had a lot of questions when I first started this place, and generally just since I've been more on board with the company, he's really been amazing with sort of helping me, guide me through the process, and sort of just get me back onto feeling comfortable about the company. Yeah. And sometimes that's all you need, is just another person you can chat to with sort of similar experience and sometimes age.
Absolutely, yeah. And I found most people, that have been in business or done it are very willing to share, because it can be difficult, and anyone that does it, I think, credit to them, hats off. It's a tough thing to do, and so I think the more people can talk about it and just share experiences or help or sort of be a shoulder to cry on, it's a great thing. Yeah.
How much control do you have over, say, a client case? Say I had a business, and I came to you and said, look, I actually have no idea what I want. I don't know what I want to look like. I don't know how I want to appeal to people. How much control do you have in that situation to say, we are going to make your brand for you?
So we kind of fit in usually further down the line. So we generally don't, if a client came to us and said, we have no brand, we have nothing, we'd probably point them in the direction of maybe a sort of branding specialist or someone who could sort of help them get established. We're also, most of the clients we work with or want to work with, or even just by necessity need to, tend to be more established businesses. So a lot of what we do is more sort of evolution rather than revolution. It's kind of this idea, they come to us and go, hey, we're here, we've got a website, we've got stuff, this is what we want to do. And then we kind of start to talk to them and pick at the threads and go, right, actually, yeah, maybe you should think about pushing your brand, because at the moment it doesn't work on, your logo doesn't work on mobile devices or something. We're always digital first, so we'd probably start with the website, start with their offering and go, how do you work out from there? So yeah, we tend to fit in kind of more in the middle or the end of the sort of process. Usually a lot of clients we work with have a brand, or they go to sort of a branding specialist, or they go to sort of a consultant or someone who is going to be able to give them that at the kind of the initial steps, and then we kind of slot in at the end and go, right, okay, how can we help you with
And
everything?
is it just digital, or do you also do other mediums?
We do a little bit, but it's predominantly digital. Yeah.
Okay. And do you find that's just because it's more effective, or because it's more in tune with what you're good at?
I think the latter. It's more in tune with what we do, and we're sort of. I've one of our sort of tenets of starting a business was just specialize and do what we're good at. There are agencies, less common now, but certainly when we started, that were kind of full service and wanted to do everything, and they'd sell everything, but it might actually be they only had one website designer, or one person, or they outsource it, or they have a freelancer where they're sort of pretending to be some huge thing that can do everything. And we were like, no, we just want to specialize and be good at what we're good at. And that has changed now. You see more and more agencies being specialists in what they do and partnering together or teaming up to deliver bigger projects. And a lot of it is just, I just wouldn't feel, go back to the overthinking thing, I wouldn't feel comfortable sort of saying, oh yes, we can go and do whatever, this for you if we have no experience doing it, or we wouldn't feel comfortable undertaking it. I want to do things that I know we can do well and can deliver well.
What have you done to sort of help the overthinking?
Oh, I could talk about that for a long time.
Do it.
Yeah,
I need some
I have
pointers.
an issue on that.
Yeah, I need some help.
I've read a lot of books. I mean, I've probably the biggest thing that helped me is kind of, and this is totally off track, is embracing philosophy.
Okay, cool.
Particularly like Stoic philosophy, non-dualism, sort of looking at different approaches to mindsets. And what I find fascinating is all the stuff now about well-being mindsets. I mean, it all traces back to ancient philosophies from thousands and thousands of years ago.
Because we're not different. We're not really any different. We just think we're basically Romans with smartphones.
Yeah,
that's essentially what we are.
And I mean, I love history, and I find that fascinating. You look at sort of Stoic philosophy, for example, and that was one of the most famous philosophers, a chap called Marcus Aurelius, who was an emperor of Rome. And he wrote his book Meditations, and you realize, they were going through a plague, they were at war, they had all these problems.
Huge problems.
And it's the same problems that society is facing right now. And he had the same issues, he had the same worries, the same doubts. And this is a guy who's, emperor of an entire civilization. So I take a lot of comfort in that, and just trying to embrace those things to kind of stop me spiraling down the black holes of all these negative things, which can be really damaging.
I think as well, in a world with so much technology and everything, we are kind of what we consume. And if we're constantly being consumed by this thing in our hand, like Instagram, social medias, then our thoughts really are on our own. And then that also has a play to it.
I mean, I would, if I could, I would ban social media.
I would agree with that.
I think it is the worst thing for mental health ever. Yeah. And I still, I'm slightly active on LinkedIn and Twitter and things, but more, I try to not be, because I do notice a difference, just how it affects my mental health.
But it is so necessary as a business owner. as someone who, like, as a musician or a filmmaker, you have to show people your work.
Yeah.
And you can't do that by just sending out flyers.
I know. And that's the conundrum, because it can be incredibly valuable to market and self-market. It can be great for all these things. But then I also just feel it from a mental health perspective, it's hard. So yeah, I try and, I use LinkedIn for work and things, and I just try and be very disciplined about it and look at it more as something I need to do as part of a job rather than just something I'm going to sit and scroll at 10 o'clock at night.
Like a business tool rather than just a thing for like entertainment.
Yes. Yeah.
I completely agree. Like I made an Instagram recently, or like in the last year, because my sister said it's like an online CV. You kind of need it. Otherwise, like you'll never find a girlfriend. So it's just, pretty much. And I was like, okay, fine. Still don't have Facebook, and we'll stay off that forever. But yeah, it's a hard one.
Yeah, it is really tricky. And I think it's just I don't know the answer to it, because I agree, you definitely need it and embrace it. And people say these things, but then I'm like, I hate it.
But I guess that also shows the age differences. So Jack is the youngest, I'm in the middle, and you're a little bit older than us. So yeah, I don't know. I just think social media, like, I think it is such a trap, and with a lot of people, they end up just not doing much because they spend so much time on that, and then they feel quite unhappy. And like with mental health, like in a day and age where we're all so happy but also so unhappy, it does have I do see like the dangers of it, and especially now with AI. I don't know if it's paranoia or just like the idea that they're giving us stuff because they know what we want and they know how to keep us on there, which is very scary.
You were saying the other day, the whole Reels thing you're swiping up, it's been designed to be like when you're in a casino.
A fruit machine.
Down. And you just, something is going to come up that's going to be really interesting. But I'll sit there for like 20 minutes watching a man doing something I really don't care about. He's building a Meccano car. And I'm just thinking, wow, this is so fascinating. But at the same time, I don't care at all.
Yeah. I've read a lot of interesting things about the science behind it, and I don't know enough about that side of it. But by all accounts, it is triggering, the basic sort of what's like dopamine response and things in your brain, and it's like just like you say, like a monkey in front of a slot machine, and you're just whacking away at it and getting nothing of substance out of it. And that's as I've got older, just with finding time becomes more precious, between work and family and all these things. It's like I want to try and be more productive in the time I have. Sort of slightly related, like Christmas, I downloaded a new game for my phone. It was Marble Snap. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Never heard of Marble Snap. Shout out to Marble Snap.
It is the most addictive thing I've ever encountered in my entire life, and I turned it on, lost 2 hours, and thought I have to delete this, or it was like just being abused. It was just, it was, in some ways it was incredible, in other ways it was just like digital heroin. It was so bad for me. And I just God, it was scary, like absolutely scary.
So I have a friend, I won't say her name, but her family do apps and they develop games, and the amount of time she said they had to, the game basically is them in swimming shorts or whatever, swimming costumes, to look and design the bums, basically because of the hormones that they release and everything. That freaked me out, because I was like, what? It's for like children, this game, but at the same time it's designed in a way to stimulate them, to keep them on. So all these games, like, we look at them and go, oh, this is quite simplistic and this is interesting and fun, but then at the same time there is so much psychology that goes behind it to try and make it a successful app and a successful game. It's very scary.
I think it's been downhill since Temple Run.
Temple Run was very
huge.
good.
So at primary school, I was in Tasmania. We were like one of the first Catholic schools. I'm not Catholic, by the way, but went to a Catholic school. More on that later. And then we had iPads. We were like the first class in Tasmania to get iPads. Everyone had Temple Run. Did no work on the iPads. They were meant to be some educational tool. Fools. Did not work.
Yeah. It's funny though, because I think I remember being young and I was like, growing up in the 90s, and like the whole internet came out and everything, and Super Nintendos and all these sorts of things, and I just was like hooked. I loved it. That was all I want. And I remember my parents just like freaking out and all these things. And then I feel like I'm probably doing the same thing now with my son. I've been like, phones and all this stuff. And like I grew up fine. I didn't. I have many issues, but it was like,
don't we all?
yeah, maybe they were right all along, you know. I was going to say I was fine, but I was going, well, maybe not. Maybe they were on something. Yeah.
My parents as well were so anti me having any game consoles that when I had it, I was limited to certain hours. But I ended up playing like really violent, like Modern Warfare 2 and Call of Duty, and like what's the GTA, Grand Theft Auto, and all these games. And my parents got like so shocked by the idea that like they were allowing their kid to like basically do like terrorist attacks on his game console.
But you haven't committed a terrorist attack
in
your adult life.
I do,
even though you are wearing a sling. This is not related. This is not related to any.
I do get stopped pretty much every time I go through the airport, but I'm sure that's very unrelated. They're not profiling me out.
Yeah, I know. I mean, that's the thing. Yeah, like the same like heavy metal music and all these things, and I don't believe there's any correlation between violence or anything in like video games and stuff.
I did a gig. I did like an open mic night a couple of nights ago, and it was Bannerman's in Edinburgh. And it was sort of
very heavy metal.
I walked in, everyone was wearing leather jackets, leather trousers, really, really hot. I can imagine you get quite hot in leather trousers. But my music is not that at all. It's very soft, very gentle. And these people were so incredibly loving and kind. They were all silent watching me. And it was just such a weird thing. I mean, I reckon people that like heavy metal are probably some of the nicest people you'll ever meet. They're just so relaxed and calm. But the music they listen to, mental.
Well, my favourite band's Iron Maiden, so maybe
fantastic. Well, there you go. So you don't strike me as an Iron Maiden lover.
No, I love them, and actually, again off topic, Iron Maiden, incredibly interesting band. So Bruce Dickinson, he's a trained pilot. So he is a commercial airline pilot.
Wow.
And he once he got his license, in between gigs, he actually got a job working for a commercial airline, just as like Ryanair or something. So
that's very cool.
Yeah, and then when it was years ago, there was I can't remember, it was an airline that went bust, and all the people got stranded in Egypt or something. So he just hired a jumbo, 747, and went and just picked them all up and flew them back. And their latest gig they did around the world, it's the biggest gig ever. They hired a huge 747, branded it Iron Maiden, and he just flew around the world with all their band and all the gear and everything in it.
That's so cool.
That is mental.
And it's like you see them doing, like on stage one night singing about, Satan and everything, and the next day he's like having tea in his pilot's uniform, and they're going to be flying back. So it's like
a lot of it doesn't have like a lot of heavy metal like has a basis in like classical music. Like a lot of them were like classically trained. Things like Kiss, like they have like a basis in like it's music at the end of the day, and it's very complex music.
Yeah,
so they have an understanding of what's going on as well. The psychology of it there as well is very interesting.
Yeah. So yes, well, I can recommend Iron Maiden if you're looking.
Iron Maiden is awesome.
You strike me as a James Blunt enjoyer. So I'm glad that I am. There's nothing wrong with James Blunt enjoyers, but Iron Maiden, very nice. What else do you listen to? How do you unwind at the end of a busy day?
So I do a lot of writing. So that's something I really enjoy. So I tend to just kind of sit at night and write and different things like fiction, different things like this. Don't really get a lot of time to watch TV, but I like all the usual sort of things. Music, I do have the best taste of music in the office, I've been told.
By yourself.
Everybody's insisting, going, I do, don't I? And everyone's like, yeah. So just just a variety of everything, really. I'm not allowed to play as much heavy metal in the office as I like, but so just be whatever the good old hits from the 90s and things. So yeah,
perfect.
Who is the other band, like the Iron Maiden, the spin-off of Iron Maiden?
Spin-off? I don't know if there's a spin-off. Bruce Dickinson did a solo, or tried to do a solo career for a while.
Okay. I think I'm getting confused with Metallica there. I think that's
maybe. I don't know so much about Metallica. Just sort of general like that kind of, again, show my age era of the sort of heavy metal. I don't think they do it. I don't think they do it now like they used to.
Definitely not.
Or like if you're ever looking for really crazy music, I could recommend like fantasy speed metal, which is like just like heavy metal about fantasy and dragons and really fast.
Cool.
So
sounds very cool.
Yeah, you get a lot of work done. It's quite cool, so,
I have to get Jack onto it then.
Yeah, absolutely. That's my cup of tea. Really good I'm good at screamo.
Screamo?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not going to give you a demonstration. You'll have to come to one of my live shows to find out. In the middle of a nice little folk song, just rip out the voice. Yeah. It's a lie, by
Jack
the way.
has, he's been here for a little while, but he basically said to me he wanted to get onto the performing circuit and sort of get some gigs going. So we tried to get him a gig at the Doghouse, which they didn't respond to him. So we're going to have to try and like implement that, get it happening.
There's no hard feelings.
No,
Doghouse.
it will happen.
It will happen.
Doghouse is my favorite bar, so it'll be a good place for Jack to start.
Oh wow, yeah, I'd love to see it.
Thank you. You can come along. You'll be one of the 3 audience members.
Me, Jack's mum, and
Yeah.
I'll round up some people. Yeah.
That'd be cool.
So where I know your business is all about evolution.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you taking your business now? What is the next step for Primate?
Yeah, good question. I at the moment I just want to enjoy it. You know, I there's a lot of pressure, I think, to grow businesses and, you know, push them, and particularly in the agency world, it's this growth. And I remember starting, everyone was like, you know, I remember being asked, what's your exit plan? And before we even started the business, it was like, what's your exit plan? I'm like,
It's nuts.
yeah, like, why are
you think like that?
You're asking me how I'm going to leave the business I haven't even started yet. And so I think I'm on the idea of just wanting to get it more just sort of sustainable, in the sense that it's sort of easier, get better margins, get a better life out of it for me, for the team, you know, do better work, and kind of just sort of keep pushing it forward in that regard. I don't think I have you know, this idea of like, yeah, we're gonna push and then exit.
Does that come
into
from
this thing.
efficiency, or does it come from raising prices?
Probably efficiency, and just finding more, for us, finding clients that probably have more ongoing work and different things.
Yeah.
So it's not just kind of always out looking for one-off projects all the time.
Yes.
And just kind of creating a good base that you can.
So I can imagine it would take a lot of work when you get one client, just one job. It's a lot
Yeah.
of work to start everything.
Yes.
But if you've got an ongoing client, you've kind of got a template, I suppose.
Yeah.
You can
or they
stick
have-
to a regular.
Yeah, they have kind of ongoing things they need, and kind of back and forward with it. So sort of looking down that line. So yeah, it's funny, because I think if, you know, it's constantly changing. Kind of what we want out of the business changes as we get older and as we go. But I think I'm in it. You know, for me, it's like a long-term thing. You know, something that you want to be around. I like the idea of being around for 20 years, or my son one day getting, you know, coming in as an intern and working for me or something. You know, like I like this idea of being more of a like sustainable business part of the economy and the community, rather than just like a cool, we're going to pump, and I'm going to kill myself for 5 years and sell it, and
It's
then
not worth it at all.
yeah.
So we're back. We are resuming normal programming, and we're going to be talking about AI.
Okay.
So in your line of work, what has AI brought, and what has it detracted from your business?
So
if it has?
AI it's an interesting one. So it is obviously the big topic everyone is speaking about right now, and
Chat GPT and such.
yeah, I mean, like, honestly, you can't escape it. And every single thing I look at is just how you can use AI and what you can use AI for. And agencies using AI and agencies using AI. I just think it's a lot of rubbish. I think AI in general is just. I'm, you know, maybe a bit controversial saying this. I think it will have some incredible uses. Right now, I think it's a lot of hype, and I think it is effectively just a sort of replacement for. Google, or
I think lazy people like AI as well. It seems that way. Like, oh yeah, we can just use this to do that and this and that. And you're like, it just isn't unique or creative.
It's
that.
I mean, people worry about it replacing jobs, and 2 issues with that. Firstly, well, if it did replace everyone's jobs, there'd be no one who had any job to purchase anything created by AI, so that's a problem.
Very true.
Very true.
And the other issue is, you know, it's just a tool. I think it's similar to sort of when the whole .com thing exploded in 2000s, you know, people talking about the iPhone going to replace the need for photographers, or Photoshop replacing designers.
Still not the case.
Still not the case.
Yeah.
I think it will become a tool, you know, and I do cynically think a lot of businesses are pushing it in order to, you know, hype up their stock values. You know, obviously the economy is not in a great place at the moment. There's a lot of that. Just, you know, Microsoft people coming out and pushing it to create a lot of hype. And you look at the real world applications and you're like, yeah.
I think it's a toy.
Yes.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
It is a
100%.
toy.
Yeah.
And we're being told to care about it.
Yeah.
So that we will. And that's all people are talking about now. I mean, it's really just AI, ChatGPT. Very, very interesting, but it is just theft.
Yeah.
is all it does. It just gathers different information from all over the place. Like when you're at uni and you have 16 different references in one sentence you make, you're still stealing data from somewhere, even though you're referencing it. It's not yours. And I think, I don't know in your line of work how it is going to affect you, but in mine, I don't know. I've seen the AI bands. I don't know if you've seen this. I can't remember which band it was, but it was Freddie Mercury. They've basically chopped up his voice and it's analysed how he sings or how he sang and made a new song with his voice. I was thinking, who's going to listen to that? There's no soul. That's the whole point in art.
I think it opens up a lot of questions. Exactly, the idea of theft. The images. I think there's a court case going on in the States at the moment about how they trained things like Midjourney on open Getty libraries. Just literally
scary,
pulling off other people's images. So like who it hadn't created that to begin with. So it's ultimately just like going out and just taking things and smushing it together. The results of that I think are shallow. They lack the depth, and even if they didn't, I think there's that question exactly what you said, like what value do we as humans place?
Because I've seen adverts using AI generated images, and the only reason I knew it was AI because it was a very good image, but the woman holding her baby, it was a family at the beach, and there was a woman holding her baby, and there was a random arm coming around the woman that wasn't from the child next to her because the child next to her had an arm around the hip. There was a random arm.
Laziness again, because someone has to see that and look at that and be like, why is there an extra arm there?
Yeah. And, the baby might have had two hands or something like that. But why are businesses trying their hardest to utilize something that is clearly crap?
I just think it's jumping on the bandwagon. It's not, in my mind, it's not dissimilar to the whole crypto bubble, the NFT bubble.
Yes.
And like I said, I think crypto has and blockchain some incredible uses, but those are not the uses that are existing currently. And it's same with NFTs, things like this, some amazing ideas that could be done with it, but sticking up some pictures of monkeys, the value in that is just a value based on people wanting it,
like baseball cards or such,
and then it drops, and as we've seen, it drops very quickly once that bubble
it's very
bursts.
Unstable.
And like you said, where's the value? The value in like an artist creating a picture is the time and the thought and the blood and the sweat. And if you remove that, what do you have? So
you lose the humanity, and it's about self-expression. A computer cannot express itself; it can only express what it thinks it should be able to express if it was a human.
Yes,
and it does that by thieving. But on your website, you do mention AI, and is that just because clients are looking for integration into that space?
There are uses for it. So I think search tools, for example, using AI to have smarter searching, I think can be really useful.
That is valuable. I have to say.
Yeah, I think there are good use cases for it as a tool that's going to enhance things that you do.
100%.
But that versus this idea of it's going to replace everything we do and change everything, I don't think is there. So I see it just like as another, it's like another Photoshop or another camera or another thing that you can use to create something, rather than something that's going to suddenly wipe out jobs and change the landscape of the world
and not take over us.
Yes, and there's a lot of fear mongering around it as well. Just to get
Elon Musk doesn't help with that.
He doesn't. He's an interesting guy, but I think there's just a lot of that trying to pump up, hype things up, scare people, and just get caught up in that whole
Do you think that it could improve people's mindsets, their own mental health, because they'd be doing less?
I think it depends on the use. It's funny, I was having a chat with one of the guys in the office last week about this. If we ever got to the point of like a sort of Star Trek utopia, and by that I mean like no one needs to work because there's robots and things that do the things that no one wants to do. So
you have a lot of time to think.
And then it becomes more about pursuing things that you generally want to do, but that'd be a huge shift in mindset for humanity. Because I don't know how many would people, if you didn't have to do anything, genuinely want to do things. And I think it's good for people to want to do stuff,
especially when we're stuck on our phones scrolling, and like we basically become like a generation of pensioners then, in a way, just keeping ourselves busy.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know, in Star Trek they don't have Instagram, so I don't know. Like
they are on a spaceship though. Yeah, I think that's much cooler.
I never understood how Star Trek works. Like you can do anything, but you join like the army or whatever. It's like an ensign and get beaten around. Like, why would you do that? I don't know.
That's weird. If there's nothing else to do.
Yeah. I'd just be at home on holodeck all day. Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
I think, we used to be very nomadic humans. We used to be quite a nomadic species, and we would hunt and gather and do all of these things. There was no real, apart from for survival, there was no real need to go out and build a website or make a movie or write a song.
Or make a podcast.
Yeah.
But I wonder if AI did take over, if, your people that were working with drugs and pharmaceuticals and that sort of thing, they'd be like, why would I bother going to work today? I'm not even getting paid. Or, the AI can do the drugs and, make things for people and keep people healthy, and, AI robots making carrots, that sort of thing. I don't think it would work if AI took over.
We would then, in a way, become like batteries, like the Matrix, used for our information and our like resources.
It's interesting, yeah. I think it could definitely go one of two ways. It could either go down that kind of real, apocalyptic Matrix thing, or it could go down the whole like, humanity's evolved and suddenly we're pursuing things for the joy of pursuing them rather than any kind of other measure. But
it's probably aliens looking. I don't mean to go Joe Rogan, but it's probably aliens looking down going, no, we made the same mistake with AI. Don't do it. It's terrible.
Or it's AI robots looking down and going, yes, do it.
Or the Egyptians.
Worshipping the sun god. But no, in terms of mental health, what is it? The Daily Stoic that you've been reading?
Yeah,
the Daily Stoic. I'm signed up to their email
list.
He's very, very good. What other things do you do? Have you been reading, or what?
So mainly that. I did a sort of I don't know how you describe it, a kind of mindset maybe course with a sort of a coach, fantastic guy called Rob Begg, about a year and a half ago.
That was online, was it?
Yes, although I've met a person who's based in Glasgow, and a lot of that was, again, touching on similar themes. There was a lot of non-dualism in there, and this kind of...
What is non-dualism?
Oh, I don't know if I could explain it. It gets kind of... It depends on how... You can talk about it and sound a bit crazy, but it's this idea...
Welcome to my life.
It's this idea that I don't even know how to describe it. It's like you are effectively... okay, put it really crazy. It's like you're effectively the director of your own movie, and that you can influence your own life, and that there isn't this separation between your brain and your body. It is that you are a single consciousness, and you can what you want to make of things, that you can think about it and make it achieve.
Through like manifestation.
Yeah, and this idea of like, and you can look at it in different levels, whether it's from like the sort of physics point of view, and there's a lot of interesting stuff around that, all the way through to like, the placebo effect. No one's ever been able to explain the placebo effect. Yeah. And yet it's proven that if people think they're going to get better, they get better.
Yeah.
So there's all these kind of interesting layers, and this idea of, like, where do your thought process come in? And how
I guess when you think about like with our like neuron pathways having like electrical signals being passed over, it's literally our touch, feel, and see, and all that is literally just little electric signals being passed through. So I guess the placebo effect in that way is just confusing that in our brain.
Well, this is it, and there is some fantastic stuff, about like, when you dig into it, like the concept of how things created, and like you get into like the quantum physics realm and like atoms and all this sort of stuff, and literally you get to the point where you can't explain stuff, but we're taught that we live in a very physical, simple, black and white world of like, you're born, you live a life, you do your things, you're told this stuff.
So is that why it's called dualism, or is it like there's one side is a societal pressure and one is a personal pressure that you kind of place on yourself?
It's more the idea of like I feel like I'm talking about something I don't know enough about, but it's this...
that's okay.
Yeah, it's like goes back to this idea of like... So non-dualism is based on like Hindu philosophy and things. It's this idea of like you're not a dual entity with consciousness and body. You are a single thing, and you can influence and control what you want to do. So on a sort of practical level, that's even just... It just boils down to mindset and thinking. And when you get into it and you talk about... you look at entrepreneurs and success and a lot of this and... like athletes and things, and so much of it stems from just having belief in what you're going to do.
Yeah.
No one's ever won an Olympic medal by going, I don't think I can do it.
Really I saw a funny meme talking about old reels the other day. It was about like you need the like correct amount of autism and steroids to find make the perfect athlete, but you can't give them autism. You can only give them steroids. You have to find it. But,
Is that just by being like focused, like intensely,
super ultra focused, and having that belief in something as well? Like a lot of the times people with autism, they're generally very good at one thing, and with that it allows them to have this belief that they're better than everyone else, which then therefore helps them gain that sort of thing.
But often they are, because they can focus on
super intelligent.
I mean, that's it. And as I get older and you start to look back, and a lot of that course is talking about things about limiting beliefs. They call this idea of like, you grow up and your parents, your teachers, whatever, tell you, oh, you're not good at this, or you're not good at that, and then you just like you grow up thinking it.
Exactly.
And you're like, why?
Yes.
School is very much that, I think. Especially, I went to 12 schools, but like in each school you had to really fit in, and if you didn't fit in, you wouldn't be able to hang around. Well, you wouldn't be able to hang around with people, which would then cause you like you'd feel like, oh, I'm not very good, or I'm not very good at that. But actually, if anything, it's the self-belief of understanding that actually these sort of people don't define who you are.
Yes,
and that's
exactly
a very hard thing, especially in society where we're all being judged constantly.
Yeah, and absolutely. And then you realize how it affects your life,
I did say I'd come back to the Catholic school thing, but I was not top of the class, but I was very close to top of the class in maths when I was in grade 5. I want to say 5 and 6, and I was put into a special science and maths, like the advanced science and maths. It was doing crazy stuff.
Special
maths and science. And then I went to a bigger school called St. Patrick's in Launceston, and I'd moved from a little town called Georgetown. Very interesting place. Moving to this great big school, about 20 times, 30 times bigger actually, because it was a city school. I was very smack dab middle of the pack, and I felt so stupid because there was so many people above me that had just, I hadn't been exposed to people that were better at science and maths than me, and then I thought, I suck at this, and then I went into the arts. That's what. But I think in a city like Edinburgh, do you have a lot of competition?
For business, I mean, I've stopped thinking about it,
and I think your work speaks for itself.
We've just kind of stopped thinking about it in those terms, and I just very much feel now that you find the clients and you work with the people and you have the stuff that you want and that works for you, and I try not to. I try not to overthink about it.
How do you apply your philosophy to life, to your business?
Just trying to enjoy the moment, and that's tough because I definitely have ups and downs. Like you can go from being super pumped and excited one month to being really negative and down the next month, and trying to just stop that happening and constantly just sort of remind myself and like focus on the moment and go, I like what I do. I like the people I work with. I enjoy it and live in that, and sort of not be sitting there going, oh gee, this deal doesn't come through next month, or we don't hit these growth targets, we don't do these things, and like just constantly like beating myself up and setting this whole metric, and just be more living it, enjoy it, and do what you want, and let things try and happen more naturally rather than like this.
Which then creates an amazing workspace environment, which then probably boosts things, and the side effect of that would be that people are more happy to work, and therefore you get more things done, and it's more creative space.
Yeah, that's the idea, because again, it's that whole business book philosophy of sit down, set your targets, set your things, set your everything. But then if you keep you can just become a slave to that, and then you can actually find yourself really miserable because you're just not achieving the things that you wrote down on a piece of paper, and then you become obsessed with that, and then you're a grump and no one wants to work with you, and all these things that sort of spiral off, versus just like going, hey, I'm just going to enjoy it and be happy and live in the moment and have these things in my mind and a vision, but not like obsess over it every day.
With being website development, is there, with clients, do you sort of find that they generally want a certain look, or is there? I remember going to the marketing event I was at Primate, and you're talking about, I forget the exact words, but it was like you try and help them get off the internet.
Yeah.
How would you explain that?
Yeah, so it's a funny thing. That's kind of been a bit of a new take for us, because I think it goes to this idea of, like being online is just probably not very good for you. And actually the idea that if you're, spending 10 minutes to buy something on a shopping website, you probably shouldn't be, you should be doing it in a minute. And you should be getting what you need, and you should be making those conversions faster rather than just hanging around because you can't find what you want or get what you want, So it's kind of this idea, and a lot of that ties in just to our philosophy of sort of almost just boiling down to the essence, the simplicity of it, this sort of try not to be overly flashy just for the sake of it, like actually just that's kind of our design philosophy, our development philosophy, business philosophy of just like, be, I kind of always, I love like modern art, this kind of minimalist stuff. I find like that really fascinating, and
the banana taped to the wall.
It's like boil it down to its core essence and not have anything that's just fluff for the sake of it.
I
think because that can actually be a huge distraction, if anything.
That's the idea. It's like, if you're there and you've got all this flashy stuff loaded on the website, personally I find it really annoying because I just want to get to the thing I'm trying to get to. So that's the idea, and that can be a tough sell to clients because they're like, but we want it to have some crazy bit of JavaScript that does this, and you're like, no, just don't.
Not worth it.
It's before my time, but I really like when old websites that haven't been updated for like 20 years, and you go on them and then some music starts playing. You think, brilliant, I've got a soundtrack to like access some like ancient wisdom from 2003. But I found that a lot of modern websites are really junky. There's a lot of stuff going on. There's videos loading that are covered in ads, and they've got all sorts of animations that I have an older phone and it struggles with them.
I mean, there's a lot of good technical reasons for simplicity. Big thing in the market now is energy use. Like every time you load a website, you're using energy. I heard some crazy stat, slightly off topic, that apparently every 1 million or 100 million downloads on Spotify burns a forest or something.
That's serious. That's crazy.
Exactly.
Thank God I have 27 monthly listeners.
The amount of it's just digital consumption, and the energy is the big thing in crypto. When you're mining crypto, or also just even transactions. You see it Chat GPT. Apparently, every time you make a query on that, it's huge amount of carbon emissions.
Wow.
But no one knows about it. So you're trying to go actually, because you sit there and you playing with this stuff and you realize it's just burning energy, huge amounts of energy. And so that's all becoming more of a thing now, and this awareness, and that ties into the whole, you don't, if your website is to promote your services, do you need to have some silly carousel and background music and all this stuff that's going to just annoy people, take that longer to load, use more energy, and just be frustrating?
That's mind-blowing, actually, when you think about it.
I'll dig out the real stats, but it is shocking, actually, some of the stuff I've seen around Spotify.
People are trying to be carbon neutral, and therefore they've got this massive computers doing all this, taking so much energy, lithium batteries. And then it's and you just don't think about it, and you sit in Google constantly and just look for stuff, and you just don't ever think you're actually using energy to do these things.
Wow.
And on that note, I reckon that's a perfect time to wrap up. It was really a pleasure to have you, Gordon.
It really was.
Thank you. I've really enjoyed it. Hopefully it wasn't too on and off, just rambling about everything from crazy robots to Star Trek. So
that is good.
It was amazing.
Thank you very much. It was great.
Very cool.
Thank you.